Welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to be tackling something, I think we all secretly want to master the art of making like a killer first impression.
Oh, yeah.
Using just our words.
Just words.
And we've got this source called 16 Simple Ways to Impress a Girl with Words.
Right.
And while that might sound a little surface level, I promise you it gets surprisingly deep.
Absolutely.
Like way deeper than I thought.
Yeah, this source isn't just about like romantic situations. It's really packed with insights into how we connect as human beings.
I know.
Which applies to building rapport with anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in.
Yeah.
The first thing that jumps out at me is this emphasis on authenticity. Now, we hear that word thrown around a lot.
Right.
But like in the context of communication, what makes it so crucial?
Well, think about it this way. Our brains are wired to detect inconsistencies.
Right.
When someone's words don't match their actions or their persona feels forced, we instinctively sense it.
Yeah.
And that erodes trust. And trust is like the foundation of any meaningful connection.
For sure.
Authenticity, on the other hand, is like a shortcut to building that trust.
Interesting.
It shows that you're comfortable in your own skin.
I like that, and that's magnetic.
That makes so much sense. It's like you can't build a genuine connection on a shaky foundation.
Right.
So how do we translate that into something actionable?
Yeah.
Because be yourself is easy to say,
Right.
but sometimes hard to actually do.
Absolutely, and the source actually gives us some great examples.
Okay.
Like when it comes to compliments instead of the generic, "You look nice."
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Try something more specific that shows you're actually paying attention.
Okay.
"I really admire your confidence."
Oh, wow.
Or your passion for something they care about is inspiring.
Yeah.
Those kinds of compliments go beyond surface level observations.
Right.
And speak to someone's character.
You know what I've always wondered about that? Like complimenting someone's personality instead of their looks.
It feels more genuine somehow.
Right.
But I've hesitated sometimes thinking it might come across as weird or too intense.
I think it's all about the delivery and your intention.
Okay.
When you genuinely admire something about someone, it shows in your tone and your body language.
Right.
And honestly, most people appreciate being seen for who they are, not just what they look like.
So it's about connecting on a deeper level.
Exactly.
Not just throwing out empty flattery.
Precisely. And this ties into another big point the source makes.
Okay.
Active listening.
Ooh, yes.
We've all been in conversations where the other person is just waiting for their turn to talk.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so obvious when someone's not really listening.
Yes.
But what does it look like to truly listen actively?
It's about being fully present in the conversation, putting your phone away, making eye contact, and showing that you're absorbing what the other person is saying.
Yeah.
Asking clarifying questions is huge. Not just to keep the conversation going, but to show that you're trying to understand their perspective.
So instead of just passively hearing words, you're actively trying to get inside their head.
Exactly. And when someone feels truly heard, it creates a powerful sense of validation.
Wow.
It shows that you value their thoughts and opinions. And that strengthens the connection.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense.
Yeah.
So we've got authenticity as our foundation.
Yes.
Genuine compliments to show we're paying attention and active listening to build that deeper connection.
Right.
Where do we go from there?
Well, the source then brings up this interesting dynamic.
Okay.
Being confident, but not arrogant. It's a tricky balance to strike.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Because confidence is attractive, but arrogance is a total turnoff.
Right.
How do we walk that line without tripping?
Confidence is about knowing your own worth and expressing it without putting others down.
Okay.
Arrogance, on the other hand, stems from insecurity. It's that need to prove yourself superior.
Right.
To make up for a lack of self-esteem.
Interesting. So it's not just about what you say, but the underlying energy behind it.
Exactly. Someone who's genuinely confident doesn't need to brag or belittle others.
Okay.
They lift people up, they're open to different perspectives, and they're not afraid to admit when they're wrong.
So it's about confidence with humility?
Yes.
That sounds a lot like respect, actually, which is the next point the source emphasizes.
It is.
It practically screams that respect is non-negotiable.
It really is. Respect is about acknowledging the other person's inherent worth as a human being.
Right.
It's treating them with courtesy even if you disagree with them.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. Authenticity leads to genuine compliments.
Right.
Which are received better when we're actively listening.
Yeah.
all while projecting confident humility, which is rooted in respect.
Yes.
It's like all these pieces are fitting together.
They absolutely are. And I think what's so fascinating about this source is that it's not just giving us superficial tips. It's actually pointing to the qualities that make us better communicators and ultimately better human beings.
Okay, I am loving this deep dive. I'm already starting to rethink how I approach conversations.
Great.
But before we get too ahead of ourselves, we've got more to unpack.
Yeah, we do indeed. The source has some great insights on using humor effectively.
Okay.
Finding common ground.
Yeah.
And a few communication pitfalls to avoid.
Ooh, interesting.
We'll delve into those in part 2.
Perfect. I'm ready for more. Welcome back to the deep dive. I'm still kind of buzzing from all the insights we uncovered in part 1.
Me too.
It's amazing how much depth there is to something as seemingly simple as like talking, you know?
Yeah, it really is like peeling back the layers of what it means to truly connect with another human being.
Okay, so before the break, we were about to dive into some of the communication pitfalls that the source mentions, those things we do that can kind of sabotage a good conversation without even realizing it. What are some of the big ones?
One that comes up a lot is dominating the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
It's great to be enthusiastic and share your thoughts.
Right.
But if you're not giving the other person space to speak, you're essentially delivering a monologue, not having a dialogue.
Oh, I've definitely been guilty of that. Sometimes I get so excited about a topic.
I know, it's easy to do.
And I forget to, pause and let the other person jump in.
Yeah.
It's like I'm so focused on getting my point across that I miss the opportunity to actually learn something from them.
It happens to the best of us, but becoming aware of it is the first step.
Okay.
Notice those nonverbal cues.
Right.
Are they leaning back, looking away, or trying to interject?
Yeah.
Those are signs that you might need to give them some space.
That's a great point. It's not just about what we're saying, but how we're reading the other person's reactions.
Exactly.
So what's another pitfall we should watch out for?
The source also cautions against being overly critical or negative.
Okay.
It's fine to express your opinions,
right?
But if you're constantly complaining or putting others down,
yeah,
it creates a heavy, draining energy.
Yeah, no one wants to be around a Debbie Downer all the time.
Right.
And I think it goes back to that idea of respect, being mindful of how our words impact the other person.
Exactly. And this leads to another pitfall the source mentions, using language that's disrespectful or offensive.
Okay.
It sounds obvious, but sometimes we make offhand comments or jokes that can be hurtful even if we don't intend them to be.
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to accidentally say something insensitive, especially if we don't know the other person well.
Right.
I guess that's where that empathy piece comes in again, right?
Yes.
Trying to put ourselves in their shoes and consider how our words might be received.
Precisely. And speaking of empathy, the source brings up another point that I found particularly fascinating, using humor effectively.
Ooh, okay, this is where I get a little nervous. I love to joke around, but I've definitely had moments where my humor has fallen flat or worse, offended someone.
Oh, yeah.
How do we use humor to build rapport without crossing any lines?
It's about being aware of your audience and the context of the conversation.
Okay.
What might be hilarious to your close friends could be completely inappropriate in a professional setting or with someone you've just met.
So reading the room is key.
Absolutely. And pay attention to the other person's sense of humor.
Right.
Are they laughing along with you? Or do they seem uncomfortable?
It's like that saying, dying is easy, comedy is hard.
Right.
Using humor effectively takes practice and awareness.
It certainly does. And if you're ever in doubt, it's better to err on the side of caution.
Solid advice. So we've talked about avoiding conversation killers like dominating the conversation, negativity, disrespectful language, and poorly timed humor.
Right.
What about the positive side? What are some things we can actively do to build rapport?
Well, the source emphasizes the importance of finding common ground.
Oh.
It's about discovering those shared interests, values, or experiences that create a sense of connection.
I've noticed that when I find common ground with someone, the conversation just flows so much more easily.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like you have this instant bond, even if you've just met.
Exactly. It's like you're speaking the same language.
Yeah.
And one way to uncover those commonalities is by asking thoughtful questions.
Okay.
Not just small talk,
right?
But questions that invite the other person to share their passions, their perspectives, their stories.
So it's about turning the spotlight outward, showing genuine interest in the other person's world.
And when you do that, you're not only gathering information, you're also conveying respect, and building trust.
It's like you're saying, I'm interested in who you are as a person.
Precisely. And when you approach conversations with that kind of curiosity, you might be surprised at the depth of connection you can create.
Okay, I'm taking notes. Find common ground. Ask thoughtful questions. What else should we keep in mind?
The source also highlights the importance of communicating clearly and directly. Okay.
It sounds simple,
Right.
but so much miscommunication stems from ambiguity or beating around the bush.
Oh, tell me about it. I've had so many misunderstandings because I wasn't clear about what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Or I assumed the other person understood what I meant when they totally didn't.
It happens all the time. But being direct doesn't have to mean being rude.
Yeah.
It's about expressing your thoughts and feelings in a way that's easy to understand.
So clear, concise, and respectful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, the source reminds us to be patient.
Oh.
Building rapport takes time.
Yeah.
You can't force a connection no matter how much you might want to.
That's such a good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
In this age of instant gratification, we sometimes forget that relationships like fine wine need time to breathe and develop.
Well said. It's about being present in the moment, enjoying the conversation, and letting the connection unfold naturally.
Okay, I think my brain is officially full. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive, from the foundations of authenticity and respect to the nuances of humor and finding common ground. We certainly have. And I think what's most striking is how all of these points interweave to create a tapestry of meaningful communication.
It's like a recipe for connection with each ingredient playing a crucial role.
Exactly. And as we move into part 3, we'll explore how these insights can be applied not just to impressing someone, but to enriching our relationships across the board.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
This is getting good. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been unpacking this source, 16 simple ways to impress a girl with words.
Right.
And I have to say, my mind is blown.
Yeah.
It's like a masterclass in communication disguised as like a dating guide.
It really is. And what's so fascinating to me is how these principles extend far beyond the realm of romance.
Exactly. We've been talking about authenticity, respect, active listening, finding common ground. These are like the building blocks of any strong relationship.
Right.
Whether it's with a friend, a family member, a colleague,
Yeah.
or, yes, even a potential love interest.
Think about it. Don't we all crave those connections where we feel seen, heard, and understood?
Absolutely. It's like finding an oasis in the desert of superficial interactions.
Yes.
But how do we cultivate those kinds of connections consistently? It can't just be luck.
Right. It all comes back to intentionality. We've been talking about a lot of tools and techniques.
Yeah.
But the real magic happens when we approach our interactions with a genuine desire to connect, to understand, to build bridges instead of walls.
That's beautiful. It's like shifting our mindset from what can I get out of this interaction to how can I contribute to a positive and meaningful exchange?
And when we make that shift, the way we communicate naturally starts to change.
Right.
We become more present, more empathetic, more generous with our words and our attention.
I'm picturing it like this. Instead of approaching a conversation with a script in our heads,
Yeah.
we're showing up with open hearts and curious minds, ready to engage in a genuine exchange.
I love that image. It's like we're co-creating a shared experience.
Yeah.
A little world of understanding between two people.
And that's where the real magic happens, right?
Yes.
It's not about impressing anyone or playing games. It's about those authentic moments of connection that nourish our souls.
It's about recognizing the humanity in each other and using our words to build bridges of empathy and understanding.
Okay, I have chills.
Yeah.
This is so much bigger than just making a good first impression.
Oh.
It's about creating a ripple effect of positivity through our interactions.
And that's something we can all do every single day.
Yeah.
Whether it's a deep conversation with a loved one or a simple exchange with the barista at our favorite coffee shop.
Right.
Our words have the power to make a difference.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listener to take away?
The source we explored might have been about impressing a girl with words,
Right.
but what we've uncovered applies to all of us. The most impressive thing you can do with your words is to use them to connect, to uplift, to inspire.
Beautifully said. So go out there and use your words to make the world a little brighter, a little kinder, a little more connected. That's the real secret to making a lasting impression.
And remember, the power of words lies not in what we say, but in how we say it and the intention behind it.
That's it for today's deep dive. We hope you enjoyed this exploration of communication and connection. Until next time.